was Hugh Grant's turn yesterday to reveal that he has. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll find out what words Dr. Evan Harris uses. He is, as you know, a former director of Hacked Off. And a consultant to the claimant's legal team in the news group Litigation. I was going to use the word forced or compelled to describe, having read Hugh's lengthy thread about what happened yesterday. He I think that's a fair word, isn't it, Evan? He feels forced to accept a huge financial settlement from News Group.
Yes, because quite clear someone in his position, given his history of campaigning on this and putting it firmly above the parapet to be shot at by Rupert Murdoch's newspapers and their allies in the media, wouldn't be shy otherwise of going to court and having his day in court and taking his chances on proving his case. But as he set out in his statement yesterday, the rules of court, the cost rules, which are there to prevent court time being used when you can get the remedy, means that if they offer an amount of money that he simply can't beat in court, then the rules require him to be liable for all his own side's costs, which otherwise he wouldn't be liable for, and News Group's costs, and I suspect their lawyers are rather more expensive than Hugh Grant's lawyers, from the point at which the offer was made until the end of the trial. And that's been estimated, he says, to be £10 million, and I don't think that's far off. And although he's a wealthy man, he's clearly not as wealthy as Rupert Murdoch, who can offer him and others what's said to be £1 billion altogether to avoid the cost of this £10 million trial. So, yes, he with regret, he said in his statement, he has to take the money, which he says he'll give to charity, and not pay Rupert Murdoch $10 million.
Because
that would be an odd outcome.
Well, because if the judge hands down damages that are one penny less than the offer that was made to the to Hugh Grant in this case, then the person bringing the case, what's the right word? Is it plaintiff?
Claimant.
Then the claimant, as you say, is on the hook for the entire cost of the entire trial, and you know that would involve the most expensive and costs. So that would be the most expensive lawyers in the world and costs. So, I mean, there's a logic to it, isn't there? In that it means that you get the result without having to expend the court time and energy. But of course, crucially, and this is the bit that the man in the street, and to be fair, Evan Harris, the man in this studio, struggles to get his head around, is that if it was you, if you were the claimant and I was the accused and I gave you 10 million quid to go away in order to essentially avoid going to court, there's no admission of guilt or responsibility.
Yes, there's two. So firstly, in any individual case, I'm not going to argue against the rule that says if you can get justice without using court time and the resources of the court, then you should. And of course, it curtails the case so lawyers get paid less. And so generally, it's a good idea to have a way of ensuring that settlement can be reached. But here you've got to look at the bigger picture, because there have been, and this is public domain knowledge, at least 1,600 settlements, at least 1,600 settlements of this type, which according to people who've looked at the accounts of News Corp and News UK, which publishes The Sun now, has cost upwards of £1 billion, that's £1,000 million, in order, news groups say, to avoid the costs of a trial, which is 10 million. So they could have paid for, on my rough calculations, 100 trials that which they say they want to avoid the cost of by reaching a settlement, because they put out a statement yesterday and they said both sides felt that it would be in their commercial interests not to take this to trial. But I don't think that's true. It's certainly true for Hugh Grant, but it's not in the interests more generally of Rupert Murdoch, I believe, to have these cases tested, because all he has to do, because he's made complete denials of anything to do with The Sun being illegal, and Hugh Grant's claim, because he'd sued the News of the World earlier, is only to do with The Sun. So he could have, for £10 million, Mr. Murdoch had a trial, found that his defence was correct, there was no illegality at The Sun. He wouldn't have had to pay that 10 million because the claimant would have lost entirely. right?
Yes.
Not beaten an offer, but lost entirely. And then he wouldn't have had to pay this £1 billion. Now, he's a businessman. He must have reasons for not wanting a trial of these issues. And I don't think it takes a great deal of thought to work out why he doesn't want this a judge's ruling on this and witnesses coming to court.
Apropos nothing in particular, I've often read columnists in Murdoch titles suggesting that if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear when it comes to investigation and scrutiny.
Are you suggesting there's hypocrisy in the...
Heaven forfend, Dr. Evan Harris. Heaven forfend, clutch away. And I suppose that the question now, or the focus now, turns to Prince Harry, doesn't it? Who was involved in this case, I think, and who is potentially going to be put into a similar position.
Yes, that is true. There's not much I can say about an individual claimant because it's his business. But obviously he's gone on the record on an ITV interview saying he doesn't intend to settle. Whatever we can speculate about his wealth and income, it's not the billions that the owner of Fox and the erstwhile owner of 20th Century Fox has. That's clearly not the case. There is a mismatch. And it does mean, I think there's a public policy.
Sorry to interrupt, but I don't want to run out of time. So, because Elton John, of course, is still in the mix as well. So until...
For the Daily Mail.
For the Daily Mail, but until... Which, of course, this Part 26 will apply to any case, any...
well, there's two...
Hang on, let me interrupt you before you interrupt me. So until someone comes along, and as you say, Hugh Grant's a hugely successful actor, one of the most successful actors of his and indeed any generation. But to just put £10 million on the table, even if he can afford it, is I mean, it's going to stick in his craw. He'll win and have to put £10 million on the table. I mean, you don't need me to explain.
Not just on the table, give it to Rupert Murdoch.
Hand it over, to give it to Rupert Murdoch. So until someone comes along who is either mad enough or rich enough to think, do you know what, I am actually going to spend to get to what I believe to be the truth. I am prepared to give the people that have abused me millions and millions and millions of pounds. Until you get to that point, this is never going to be tried in court.
It does mean, yes, that wealthy corporations or indeed very wealthy individuals can buy their way out of ever having a court determination of a civil claim. That is the case, and that is the case here. Now, with the Daily Mail, It's slightly different because their denials have been so vitriolic that it would be the biggest climb down since the descent of Everest for them to ever say we're going to settle with even without admissions of liability, because they've been pungently rude about, if you look at what they've said about the claims of Baroness Lawrence, Prince Harry, Elton John, and others. I've never seen, and I've seen a lot of these, such strong denials and how this is an outrageous case. And for them to U-turn and start making offers would be the biggest climb down, as I say, in legal history.
That's a really good point. I
wouldn't put it past them.
No, I wouldn't put anything past them. But at what point, when does that push become shove, just in terms of the legal timetables?
A while yet, because we're still awaiting the defences to the particulars of claim, to the claimant's allegations, and then there has to be a discovery stage, and a trial won't be set until some months, or if not 18 months away. We're in
watching
early
this.
days.
Well, we'll be speaking again before then. I don't doubt it for a minute. And you probably won't answer this question, but I'll ask anyway. What sort of mood was Hugh Grant in yesterday when you spoke to him? Was he sanguine? I think he saw the writing on the wall for this, perhaps.
Yes, I mean, as he said, he was frustrated because he doesn't want people to think that he would shy at a low hurdle, but he shies at giving £10 million to Rupert Murdoch. And he has said that he will continue to campaign to ensure that justice is done. He just can't do it through this particular claim himself. But he's not the only player, as you've said. And
this ain't over yet. The fat lady has barely drawn breath at this point.
The cliche has not sung, yes.
Dr. Evan Harris, former director of Hacked Off, consultant to the claimant's legal team in the news group Litigation.